Hello lovelies, and welcome to today's video. My name's Alya and I'm so glad you came by today. So we are going to be talking about a really painful condition today, and also creating this bronzy look using the Double Down cosmetics a little bit and some other clean products. We're talking about corneal abrasions, infections and ulcers. So it sounds like a terrible, horrible, icky subject. I promise to keep it clean. I'm not going to any gory details, but I do think that this is a topic that we all need to be aware of. Nobody is immune to experiencing such a thing, although it's not extremely common. It definitely does happen, especially in certain workplaces or hobby places. So we definitely need to be aware of what happens and what to do. So I thought I'll delve into the world of eye pain today again, but this time talking about corneal ulcers. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all the good things. Leave a comment below and tell me what you thought about this look and the products and the topics, all the good things. Today's topic is definitely a painful one. If you ever experience it, it is not pleasant. But I think that where we should start is to sort of isolate when these things can happen. So more often than not, corneal ulcers will occur because of something being introduced into the otherwise very self-maintaining space. The cornea has 5 very important layers. I have a whole video about the cornea if you want to check it out and learn a bit more. But basically it's got 5 very important, very intricately entwined layers that change very frequently. We get a whole new top layer of cornea about every 2 days. So having said that, you would think that it's really good at healing itself, and it most definitely is. But if something gets in the way of this healing, of this constantly cyclical process, and causes it to be disrupted in the first place, causes there to be pain, causes there to be some sort of healing issues or some kind of disturbance to the way the cells interact with one another, that disturbance will then continue to disrupt any potential healing too. So sometimes these are the type of things that are considered emergencies. We see them probably within the first 2 days of presentation because it is painful, and any help is much appreciated. The main kind of corneal ulcer that I see usually starts with a bit of a scratch, so some sort of an injury. Often it's gardening, or it happens to somebody who's in a trade. So in Australia, we very lovingly call our tradesmen tradies for short. And this is usually a little bit of metal that's broken off while someone was welding and not wearing protective gear, as we call it here, the protective masks and goggles and whatnot correctly. A lot of times it's gardeners, whether it's someone who's a hobby gardener or someone who's a professional gardener. Organic material is very difficult to kind of apprehend inside the eye a lot of the time, because it's very similar to our own tissue, right? So sometimes it just sort of is uncomfortable. You think, oh, it's an eyelash, but you can't really see it. It's not really doing anything. Metal, on the other hand, will leave a rustring. It'll start to rust because the eye is moist, and metal will not like that. So you'll often sort of be a bit more aware of it. That and it hurts. Little story, little flashback. When I was still working as an optical dispenser 1,000 years ago in an optometry shop selling glasses, we had this really big burly man run up the street. His partner was helping him, holding a t-shirt to his eye in excruciating pain. You would think this guy could, he looked like a soldier. He's just so burly, so strong looking, and he was in such excruciating pain. He just couldn't even open his eye. And what had happened is he got a bit of succulent into his eye. So succulent is dangerous on so many levels because it's got latex in it, which nobody needs poison in their eye. And the other thing is those secretive juices. They've got enzymes in them. So really great for healing skin and stuff, but in the eye, that could be a burn almost. So aside from the original scratch, he was also getting this continuous erosion occurring from the juices that were left behind too. So extremely painful. So how do you cope with a foreign body or a scratch in the eye? You remove it, right? But can you do it yourself? Look, more often than not, no. Especially if it's embedded deeply into the corneal bed, so into the deeper layers of the cornea. This usually requires a very skillful clinician with a needle, or sometimes we use a burr. So it's like a little thing at the end of a spinning top, and it sort of twists like this really fast. It sort of oscillates like that. Think of it a little bit like a toothbrush, but it goes around on its head, and you just skim the surface. Remember, it grows right back if it's healthy, but if there's something disrupting it, it won't grow right back. So by removing the disruption, you actually allow natural healing to occur, and that's usually your safest bet. But that's only one of the kinds of disruptions that can happen. What if we're talking about microbial keratitis? So it means what it says. It's microbial. There is a microbe or a bacteria, sometimes a virus, a viral keratitis can also occur, and it disrupts the natural processes that are regrowing the cornea or healing the cornea. What can you do then? There's nothing that you can physically do to remove. It's an infection. You know, you'll often come with a red sore eye and all that sort of good stuff. What do? First of all, flush like mad. To me, even if it's something that's embedded and you will never get it out with just water or saline, which is better, to me, the first thing you can do before you go anywhere, because often there will be some time that elapses between the injury and when you're going somewhere, flush like mad. Nothing beats hot boiled water, bit of salt, mix it all up, let it cool till it's, not going to burn you, and flush like mad. That is often the best first practice anyway, and a lot of clinicians, that's the first thing they're going to do anyway, is they're going to drop a lot of saline in the area to get rid of any debris or any other stuff going on in there, any discharge that the eye might have already started to produce. All that sort of stuff has got to be cleared out anyway. So you're doing half the work and speeding up the process of healing by cleaning out the area with saline. But obviously, salty water is not going to cut it when you have a bacterial or viral infection. A lot of people do believe that tea bags or sort of very, very strong brewed tea will help. And truth be told is it probably will. It'll work a lot like the saline does. A good tea will have very high antioxidants and sort of different properties in there that will help with healing, absolutely. But at the very least, it's flushing out whatever's ailing the eye. So it's definitely not a bad way to go. And of course, to make a tea, you have to use boiled water, which is, a cleaner kind of water than, say, tap. So it's definitely a good home remedy if there's nothing else at hand. Okay, guys, I'm going to dip into my little trio. Ooh, camera's going crazy. Little trio by Double Down Cosmetics. Latest barrel of fun. Love these products. Get into them. They're so affordable and they're so high quality and such a great company. I just can't brag about them enough. Just love it. I'm going to take a thin flat brush because I just want to concentrate where this beautiful glitter is going for that. It's loose eyeshadow, but I don't want it getting in my eye and causing a disruption to my cornea. No, it won't. It's very, very finely ground. It's a very high quality product. It's toxin free, which is why I'm not worried about putting it on my eye. I know that my eye will deal very well with these ingredients and use my tear production to flush them out naturally, and I'll never have even so much of an inkling that something was in there. So love, love, love clean products for that reason. Just tapping it on. So yeah, so you'll need an antibiotic or sometimes a steroid to deal with something like a keratitis, because keratitis or inflammation of the cornea is not going to just self-heal quickly enough. You'll be in such agony that any help that a clinician can give you will be so much obliged. We often prescribe gel to make the eye comfortable, so antibiotics come in a gel suspension, and that's often what we go for when it comes to these sort of things. And it never hurts when you have an infection, when you clearly have some kind of microbe in there, to prescribe some sort of antibiotic, because antibiotic isn't going to hurt. It's not going to cause any long-term side effects unless you're allergic, but often by this point you'll know if you're allergic to antibiotic. And it's a really good way to clear out any other underlying things that might take advantage while the eye is unable to repair itself, because we've constantly got stuff in our eye, different kinds of debris, and maybe you touched it because it was sore, and the stuff on your hands got in, and all the elements. So it doesn't hurt to have a protective treatment with some eye ointment that happens to be antibiotic. And if they do suspect a virus and they can definitely confirm that it's not dangerous to give you a steroid, they may also give you a steroid. If an antibiotic is definitely confirmed unnecessary because they've done swabs or whatever, we often do just a plain gel. So something that is nice and oily and thick to make the eye comfortable, to make it have a smooth and very comfortable space in which to heal. Think about it like putting oil into your car so the engine doesn't have damage. It's just going to lubricate and protect the area, moisturize the area to help it along with its healing. This is often given in conjunction with other drops, with other lubricants or other medicated drops, because it's just a comfort thing. It's like a band-aid. And speaking of band-aids, that's another really, really common thing to do as well. What we sometimes do is we use a very plain powered contact lens, like a minus 050 or something, very, very weak contact lens, and we put it on the eye after we've cleared the area. So the idea is that you don't want to trap bacteria under a patch or under a contact lens. That's a huge no-no, because bacteria loves being trapped in a dark, moist space with no way out. It'll just reproduce like crazy. And that's why sometimes we see these sort of things without any actual scratches or abrasions, but just from overwearing your contact lenses. It's a really big cause of these sort of things. Older style contact lenses also, over time, over years and years and years, wear away at the stem cells in the eye. So the cornea is a little bit sort of slower at repairing itself in some long-term contact wearers' eyes. So that's another reason why they might get recurring events like these. But either way, what you want to do is you want to make the eye feel comfortable and give it its best chance of healing. Kill any microbe that might be getting in the way, or remove any foreign body that might be causing the disruption. Then give it a band-aid, whether it's in the form of a gel or in the form of a band-aid contact lens, if it's safe. And sometimes in addition to that, or as another option, we do a patch. So what the patch is like is actually folding. Let me just see if I can demonstrate. I've got a tissue here as an example. Let's say this is my piece of gauze. What I would do is I would fold it nice and thick, might even go one more time depending on the size of my patient's eye, and I would press it into the space there, then putting another patch on top and then taping it all down. This base one will cause the eye to stay shut at all times, so the eyelid is shut before that goes on, and because it's nice and thick and padded, it causes it to stay shut. Then what you do is you put another one on top and then stick it all down with some tape. That way you're not able to open your eye at all. And then the eyelid acts as a protective layer. Now, when that's not possible, or the lid is also involved in the infection and can't be used as a mode of healing, that's one of the reasons why a clinician might decide to do a contact lens for, say, a day or two, just to allow that natural healing process to take place. So I've just got my mascara on, and I'm actually going to do my eyeliner as my last step. It sort of seems a little bit out of order, but I have good reason for it. And that is because I don't want a thick, very obvious eyeliner. I just want my eyeliner to complete the shape of the eye. So I'm using my mascara to kind of shape the eye and then finish it off by extending my eye line just by going over it with this pen very, very lightly. Good thing about pens is that you can sort of deposit as much or as little product as you want just by how hard you press, and then just like a felt tip pen, more or less product comes out depending on how much you're pressing. See? And all I'm doing is extending that line. See how that eye kind of looks a little bit smaller in comparison to that one, a little bit rounder? And that's all because I added that little line in. I'm going to add another one from the bottom lid as well, very, very lightly, just joining them up. And again, very importantly, in the inner corner, just to create that beautiful extension towards the nose. And there you go, much, much more open and elongated eye shape there. How do you know whether you've just got an eyelash or if there's something more serious going on? Well, for one thing, if you've done a good job of flushing the eye, there's a good chance you'll get the eyelash out on its own. It's really unusual to get a really, really sore, pussy red eye from an eyelash, although it does happen, especially when the eyelash hasn't actually fallen out into the eye. It's just growing inwards. That's called trichiasis, and it just definitely happens. Some people just have curly eyelashes or eyelashes that grow in the wrong direction for some reason, and they hurt too. And if they sit there and scratch long enough, it's as good as something getting in the eye. I mean, it's literally sitting there and scratching the cornea, right? So even if it's your own eyelash, if it's doing it for long enough, it will cause a bit of damage. But if you actually do have something that's causing pussing and red, and it's really painful to the point where it's, you know, excruciating to look at bright lights, or the eye's watering all the time, or it's really, really giving you a lot of symptom, and just simply washing it out for a few hours isn't actually doing anything, or it's getting worse, or you can start to see something in the eye, or you know you've scratched it, or you know it might be infected for whatever reason. Infections often come with pus, so you'll get discharge of some description and definitely redness. And if you can see that it's just not getting better, and you can see that it's just causing pain and you just don't want to put up with it anymore, that's fine. Because abrasions and erosions of the cornea often lead to blindness if left untreated. So it's a very long road between getting the injury or the infection or the scratch or the foreign body to blindness. It's a hugely long journey, but there's definitely a direct connection between having something deeply set in your cornea, or a corneal ulcer that's very difficult to heal because it's so deep and it's been left for so long until it was attended to, and eventually the cornea failing. Remember how I said at the beginning that all the layers are very deeply intertwined? Well, that's what it is. So if you disrupt that intricate connection well enough, it may never fully heal. Even with the best specialists, it may just never fully heal. So early presentation with this one is pretty important. This is one of those ones that you can definitely call an emergency. And even if it is just an eyelash, that's fine. I'd rather see 100 eyelashes than one failed cornea. I'm just going to go back in with a much lighter color. This one's called Toffee. I'm going to use the same brush with just a lighter bronzier color just through the middle. And then take a nice fluffy brush. I'm going to use this one because it's got a bit of an angle to it. I'm going to dip into this beautiful light color here by the double down. This one's called the Fortune, and you'll see once in a minute why it's called that. I'm going to rub it to the top of my cheekbone there for a bit of highlight. I prefer a goldier or bronzier highlight to my skin tone because I've got a yellowy skin tone, so I feel like this kind of makes that stand out, but I'm good with it. The reason I've started with my highlight is I'm about to finish my lips, so with what's left on my brush, I'm just going to actually add a little bit more. Wasn't enough, so a little bit on my brush and right into the middle of my lip. Look out, late 90s music video. I've got your lips. So nice. Such a beautiful product, and again, natural ingredients, so I don't mind putting it on my mouth. If it gets into my stomach, I don't mind. I know that this is fully okay. So I'm going to finish my cheeks and then come back and talk. So I hope you never experience anything like it because it's so unpleasant and incredibly painful. But if you ever did have a discomfort to the cornea or any kind of irregulation of the cornea or infection of the cornea, worst case scenario, by all means do not wait on that one. Flush it out as much as you can and see a clinician as soon as possible. Even if it's someone who's not an eye specialist, you need to have a nurse or somebody look at it pretty quickly. There will oftentimes be some sort of an ointment or suspension or medication necessary to fix the problem, or at least curb the long-term effects of the problem until a more specialized person can take a look at it. Okay, my lovelies, I hope that you loved this look. I'm just absolutely enjoying the luxury of these beautiful products. We had the AetherBeauty palette to start with, using a few colors from both these palettes, the Joshua Tree and the Amethyst. And then of course we have the beautiful Double Down Cosmetics little triplet here today. These products are just amazing. The AetherBeauty is cleaner for sure, but dearer. And this one's very clean as well, beautiful ingredients and very affordable. So check them out on Instagram, both of them. Definitely wonderful companies that stand for amazing causes and support the community and give back, and lovely to have people like that around in the world. For more looks and more events and more bits and bobs, please go over to Instagram and check it out there. And if you haven't subscribed already, what are you waiting for? Plenty of room. Welcome to the 4 new subscribers from last week. Welcome, welcome. Please do share with your friends if they're into makeup and want to learn about eyes, or maybe some Tichel tutorials. All that stuff is definitely happening here on Eyes Creations. Wherever you are around the world, lovelies, I hope you're having an amazing day. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.